A slave mentality. The invisible master of monumental disaster. Our government, who are never held accountable and who are always exempt. But this was their modest and completely dishonest attempt at forming a more perfect union, with little to no provisions for the common man's defense, but definitely promoting welfare, all while not securing our general liberties or assuring our prosperity, just imposing extremely unjust punishments and poverty from one of the richest countries known to me. But this was our founding fathers' legacy. Our detriment. Our democratic government. And it's definitely for the people and by the people, but by what people and for what people? It was this quandary that created the rivalry, Mr. Gullible versus Mr. Evil. And for the sake of time, let's keep this super simple, because the complexity of this entity defies gravity as it creates a slave mentality. While soaring a few and grounding the masses, we realize it's all about the classes, the greedy elephants against the lazy asses. You know, the haves and the have-nots. And it's ironic because the haves can't seem to get enough and the have-nots don't seem to want more. Ignorance often blocks their door. And that's sadly what the haves were hoping for. Complacency by killing dignity, dreams, and hope. Because with no representation, no influence on the nation. Then they added a little bit of pacification along with some media fabrication, not to mention the fact that we accepted society's so-called reparations, or rather mental fabrications. 30 blocks in a fence, creating an extremely intense and chaotic environment, full of resentment, basically incarceration and the solidification of a status, which would be quo. So no more doctors and lawyers, honorable men, or respectable ladies. Just more confused babies from single mothers by absent fathers calling themselves good lovers, crippled by a system that could have actually helped them. But entitlement issues wipe drive and determination away like it's wet tissue. And consequently, we distort the real issue. So instead of more opportunities and better education, we accept and even ask for the infection, and consequently the impregnation of a whole generation. So now comes the financial cramps as we cry for unemployment checks and more food stamps to buy the worst kind of food because we're the worst kind of food. Because we hurt ourselves with this self-defeating behavior that always favors a non-productive state of being. Instead of being about uplifting and encouraging one another, we rather ridicule and even hate ourselves as well as our brother. Jealousy makes us envy. So we become green with that envy, as we chase green and all material things by any means necessary. And it's so unnecessary the way we degrade and fornicate and stay in this sick and twisted mind state, betraying our queen, making her feel like anything but royal, while being loyal is a lost art. And this portrait is actually a statue standing still like our will, at bay, and our flesh has become like clay, just being distorted while unplanned babies are being aborted at a rate that will rival most war casualties, while broken families are the new disease that literally plagues our communities, polluting our society as desperate housewives have sex in the city. And it's such a pity that our men have become so petty and so pretty that they refuse to learn as the world turns over on its axis. And it's crazy because the bent wrist seems to work harder than the tight fist. But we accept this as the days of our lives because we are the young and the restless in dire need of the general hospital, because it's extremely disturbing when the television dictates our decisions and creates our visions, teasing us with a perverted empire and hours of power that actually steals our power, just stalling us while society puts us in poverty. Mental prisoners under house arrest, and even at our best we are still failing the test, because less is exactly what this race has become as we run with no purpose or real meaning, just screaming for equal rights and respect, the very thing we won't even give ourselves, empty with no real promise left, except a promise from the Father given by the Son to become one, again and again, living free from sin, and never have to be a slave to our skin regardless of the color. So trust God and never another. Surrender and survive, believe and thrive, die to live and then give, because you have received. So please, don't be another willing casualty by adopting and living a slave mentality.